got here is a 2025 Ldv T60. What I plan on doing today is doing some rust preventative underneath. I'm going to start by removing the spare tyre so that I can get access up underneath that. If you haven't done that before, all your tools are under your rear back seat. It actually has to go in on an angle to intercept the mechanism. I'll just have a bit of a look under here. So apparently Ldv have improved their rust preventative, but looking at this, I can already see that just around the holes, it's starting to get that sort of a rusty look here. So I'm glad I'm doing this now before any of this really starts to take hold. Looking at their underbody protection, like I'd use it pretty sparingly, it's pretty ordinary. So I'll give it a good going over. Alright, so I'm just getting ready to rust proof this car. Just having a bit more of a look underneath. Like you can see there and there, the car's already starting to get rust issues. Obviously they've coated the outside pretty well, but they haven't done any treatment on the inside of these rails, so this car's only 6 months old. So I'd suggest if you own one of these, I'd get under there towards the front and just have a look under there and see if you've got the same issue I've got. So as you'll see under this car has done no real work, hasn't been off-road at all, so it's quite clean underneath. But I can't really see that Ldv have done a lot to protect these. There is a bit of underbody protection there, but it's sort of in patches. One good thing is you're looking at the chassis rail, there are a heap of access points to be able to get some fluid into those rails. So for rust proofing this car, I'm going to use two products. I'm going to use just a bitumen based black that sets hard, and then in the chassis rails and all the places where water will get, I'm going to use this fluid film. Now I was going to use the fluid film on the entire underside, but I've seen a few videos. Apparently, underside of your car is just a mess. It never sets properly, and just you got this sticky mess under your car. So I'll save that for all the chassis rails and anywhere that water can get trapped. And then, as I said, I'll use the other solid one. Now, I've got a couple of guns. I purchased this gun for getting in the chassis rails. The main reason I purchased this is because the nozzle will shoot out in all directions. So as I stuff it up into the chassis rail, it'll hopefully get into most of the nicks and crannies. Got some extra tubing if I wanted to go in further beyond that. One issue I had with this gun, if you get this specific gun, I've already used it on a car trailer, chassis rails, and it just has a hole here. And what I was finding is whenever you'd release the trigger after spraying, I'm assuming just because so much pressure gets built up in here, it was just throwing fluid back through this hole, and it was covering me in it. So I was getting covered in the treatment stuff. So I've literally just put a fitting on there, drilled it and tapped it, and I'm just going to cable tie that to the side of the bowl. So if it does blow back, it'll blow back away from me. That's pretty much it. All right, so at the moment, I'm just using the bitumen based product. As you can see, I've just done up under the guards there. I've started to do the undercarriage. Now this stuff thins down with turpentine. It was a bit too thick for the gun, so I have thinned it down a little bit. Trying to avoid spraying any of obviously the connectors and stuff like that, or any devices that are connected under here. Just don't want to cause any issues later if any of that stuff needs replacing. Alright, so I've given it a coat of bitumen based product. I've possibly missed some spots, but I've got the majority of it. So I'm going to let this dry for 24 hours and then I'll do all the cross members and chassis rails with fluid film. Alright, we're on day 2 of the rust proofing of this truck of mine. All that bitumen based stuff's all dried up. Now I'm getting on to the fluid film. Now I've already had a bit of a test run at spraying this stuff. One thing I had no idea of, the stuff is dead set like tar. As I said, I'm going to be using this with the wand on the end of it so I can get it into the chassis rails. I've done a little bit of a test run. I've got this jet ski trailer here. Did a little bit of a test on one of the rails here and it's just not giving enough coverage. It's just way too thick for my gun. So I've done a bit of Googling. It's recommended that you use an airless spray gun. But that's not really an option for me. I'm going to be using this. And apparently if it's too thick, either heat it up and stir it thoroughly or use vegetable oil to thin it down. So that's my plan. I'm going to try a bit of vegetable oil in there. I was under the impression I might have been able to use turbs because that's what you can use to clean up, but as it's solvent based, it said definitely not turbs, vegetable oils to go, so I'll give that a run. Alright, so I've thrown a bit of vegetable oil in, that much in there. This was sort of half full. That's made heaps of difference. It's still thick as, but we'll give that a run. So if you look compared to this, it is just so thick. Anyway. Alright, so I'm under the truck here, I've thinned it down. I'm just going in all the holes here. It's a bit hard to see, but it is misting out of that bottom hole there, so it is getting in there, but yeah, it's going to be a slow process, I'd say. Alright, I've just finished pumping several litres of fluid film through all my chassis rails, cross members, everything. I'll tell you what, this stuff is messy. You've got a nice clean shed. Be mindful of this stuff just goes everywhere. As you can see, I've had a bit of a spillage there. Hopefully that will resolve rust issues. I've still got to do the doors and so forth, but I need to get a special wand that I can stick up the drainage holes to get into the doors, so it'll be for another day. But my main concern was the chassis and the undercarriage, so I think I've pretty well got that sorted.